gonna start this new I'm gonna start this new series on my YouTube channel called Tuesdayz, and I think it's just gonna be about either me it's gonna be some sort of informative video, whether it's me talking about society issues or healthy hair or tips or advice or anything like that. So it's kind of like an advice column for my channel. I want to be consistent with this channel. I just want to get these videos out there so I can just give you guys the content and you do with it as you will. So today's subject is going to be about cultural appropriation, and it's a thing that I learned a lot about in my undergrad because I studied sociology. That I got my bachelor's in sociology, so we talked a lot about different social groups and social ills in society and how there's a lot of crap going on in America, but not just in America but in the world today. Social media has played a vital role in kind of educating or informing audiences of the crazy crap that's happening around the world. We have a way of using social media as a platform to kind of inform and connect with different people from different walks of life. So with that being said, I was on Instagram and on Twitter, and I was scrolling down, and there was a lot of people talking about the picture that Kylie Jenner had posted with her hair in cornrows. And I just want to start off by saying this isn't a video bashing white people, or this isn't a video bashing people who wear braids. This isn't a video bashing Kylie Jenner of any sort. This is a love channel, so we're gonna keep the positivity as always. But with that being said, I do think it is, because I love you guys and I love everyone in the world, I think it's important that we inform everyone and educate people, you know? So with that being said, so Kylie Jenner had posted a picture of her hair in cornrows, and the actress Amandla Steinberg, I hope I said her name correctly because I hate messing up people's last names, but she, I actually want to read the comment that she left on her picture on Instagram. Amandla said, "When you appropriate black features and culture but fail to use your position of power to help black Americans by directing attention towards your wigs instead of police brutality or racism, pound or hashtag white girls do it better." So honestly, a lot of people were giving her slack, and a lot of people were like, oh well, it's edgy, she could do what she wants and all that kind of stuff. But I had just recently watched Amandla's video about the history of African American hair and basically the cultural appropriation of black women, especially in particular to their hair, and she made a really informative and really thoughtful video about the history of black hair. There's a lot of things in our culture, there's a lot of people who feel like there's certain aspects of our culture or a specific culture in general that just kind of came out of nowhere. But we have to realize that we don't only live in a society where everybody worships the same way, everybody looks the same way, everybody celebrates the same holidays. We live in a melting pot. This country is full of all different kinds of people from different walks of life. And with that being said, I think it's important for us to realize that there is origin to a lot of the things that we do. Honestly, it's kind of a little frustrating being a woman of color to see, you know, an article on a website that says, hey, how to get Marc Jacobs' edgy Bantu looks on, you know, Bantu knots that he had on his runway, when he wasn't even the originator of the Bantu knots. There's history and origins to everything that we do. It doesn't just happen in black culture, it happens in Asian cultures, happens in Hispanic cultures. There's a lot of different costumes that you go to, like different Halloween costume stores and you'll see like an Indian, a sexy Indian princess. I feel like that to me is derogatory to the Native Americans. That being said, I just want to say that Kylie Jenner is not the first person to appropriate black culture, and she probably won't be the last. There's a difference, I do agree, between appropriation and appreciation, or what I like to call cultural exchange. But the thing is that you have different people who take elements of someone else's culture and not even realizing what the initial meaning of it is without really paying attention or really being informed or educated about what the particular meaning of a particular, you know, article of clothing is or hairstyle or whatever it may be. We think a lot of the times that we came up with something first, and to be honest, we haven't. So there's a really good article in on everydayfeminism.com, and it's entitled The Difference Between Cultural Exchange or Cultural Appreciation and Cultural Appropriation. So I'll link that article down below just in case you're interested to read it. So one thing that they did point out is they said that there's kind of been a misconception of exactly what is appropriation and what isn't, and there's a lot of things in the Western culture that we've borrowed from other cultures, so sometimes it's hard to decipher between what is Western culture and what isn't, and if we are appropriating and when we've crossed the line or when we haven't and all of that kind of stuff. There's an interesting part in the article that says what cultural exchange is not. One of the reasons that cultural appropriation is a hard concept to grasp for so many is that Westerners are used to pressing their own culture onto others and taking what they want in return. So that kind of brings up another important element, which is cultural assimilation. The two are different, even though a lot of people will probably look at them and say that it's the same. So cultural assimilation, I feel like, is kind of like the dominant group who kind of is forcing their idealistic or their way of life or their way of living on another group of people. In order for the smaller group of people to survive, they have to kind of accommodate and get rid of who they are as people or whatever it may be in order to just kind of live the norm life that's similar to the dominant culture. So assimilation, appropriation, and appreciation are all three different things. So yeah. There's another really interesting part about the article that I found on everydaywithfeminism.com is it says that true culture exchange is not the process of here's my culture, I'll have some of yours. That's what we sometimes think it is. It's something that should be mutual. Like I said before, that's not to say that we can't be appreciative of other people's cultures. We just have to make sure that we do it in a way that's not derogatory or do it in a way that's not demeaning to the other person's culture. So that doesn't mean that culture exchange never happens or that we can never partake in one another's cultures. But there needs to be some element of mutual understanding, equality, and respect for it to be a true exchange. So it's kind of like a give and take. Not just take and not having, not giving the person who is belonging to that certain culture any say-so. And you want to make sure if you are taking that you're not doing it, like I said before, in a way that's degrading or demeaning or kind of devaluing what the symbolism is of that particular either ideal or clothing or hairstyle or whatever it may be. I think that the article really closes pretty well, and I think it's a kind of end this conversation on cultural appropriation. The article says we have a responsibility to listen to people of marginalized cultures, understand as much as possible the blatant and subtle ways in which their cultures have been appropriated and exploited, and educate ourselves enough to make informed choices when it comes to engaging with people of other cultures. So with that being said, it's kind of like taking it upon ourselves to really educate ourselves and to really look in the mirror and to say, how and why am I wearing this? I think I just want to say that there's nothing wrong with appreciating people's cultures. There's nothing wrong with kind of asking other people about their cultures, but do it in a respectful, humble way. For years, tons of black girls have worn their hairs in cornrows and they've always been looked at as ghetto, or you can't do this, you can't do that. But when somebody who isn't of color does it, it's like, oh, it's edgy and exotic. It's kind of frustrating and honestly, quite frankly, really annoying. So I really appreciate and admire Amandla for really standing up for the truth. And we really, as Americans, we gotta do better. We gotta respect ourselves and we gotta respect others. Still use your freedom of choice and speech to do great things, but just do it in a way that's uplifting to everybody. With that being said, stay true, stay you. Peace!